Sometimes your silence thunders louder than any defense. The words you do not speak can cut deeper than 100 arguments. When you stand face to face with a manipulator, most people react on instinct. They over-explain, they lose their temper, or they beg for trust. And yet, those very reactions become weapons handed straight into the manipulator's hands. But the Stoic walks a different path. He knows true power is never in the shout, it is in composure. Not in frantic defense, but in unshakable clarity. In this video, we'll uncover 5 things a Stoic never says when confronted by a manipulator. And, more importantly, the wise responses that break the cycle of control. If you're ready to build that shield of calm strength, stay with me until the end. And join this journey, subscribe to the Stoic Habit, not for me, but for yourself, so you never miss the lessons that sharpen your mind and fortify your spirit. Thing 1. I didn't do anything wrong, I swear. When a manipulator throws false accusations at you, the natural instinct is to panic, to defend, to repeat yourself again and again. I swear, I didn't do anything wrong. But here's the trap. The more you defend yourself, the more power you give away. Every extra word, every frantic plea, is not proof of innocence. It's proof of fear. Imagine a courtroom. A defendant is accused, and instead of standing steady, he bursts out, "I'm innocent, I'm innocent, I'm innocent." Not once, but dozens of times. The more he insists, the more the jury wonders, why is he so desperate? History has shown us this. In political scandals, powerful figures have stood before cameras repeating, "I did nothing wrong." Yet their panic, their frantic defense only fueled suspicion. Because true innocence doesn't need volume. It doesn't need endless repetition. It simply stands. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Think about that. When your enemy manipulates, shouts, and twists, the best response is not to mirror their chaos. The best response is to remain the opposite. Calm, clear, unmoved. The Stoic does not scream to prove his integrity. He does not beg to be believed. He does not hand his dignity over to the one who seeks to control him. Instead, he pauses. He breathes. He allows silence to do the work that shouting never can. And then, with steady eyes, he asks one simple question. Do you have evidence for what you are saying? That's it. No drama. No panic. No endless defense. Because here is the truth. A manipulator thrives on your panic. They feed on your desperate need to prove yourself. But when you stay calm, when you refuse to over-explain, when you demand clarity instead of offering chaos, their weapon crumbles in their hands. So the next time you feel that desperate urge to cry out, "I didn't do anything wrong," remember, the Stoic does not waste his strength shouting into the storm. He stands in silence and lets the storm exhaust itself. Thing 2. Why would you do this to me? It sounds like a fair question, a cry from the heart. Why would you do this to me? But look closely, this question is not strength. It is surrender. It hands the manipulator the role of judge and places you in the seat of the victim. When you ask why, you invite them to justify themselves. And manipulators are masters of justification. They twist your pain into their reasoning. It's your fault. You made me angry. You forced my hand. And suddenly, your cry for clarity becomes their license to blame you. Picture this. A betrayed partner confronts the other. "Why would you cheat on me?" And the answer comes back cold. "Because you never gave me enough attention." Now the victim is left not only with betrayal, but with guilt. Or think of business scandals. A CEO is questioned about unethical practices. Instead of admitting fault, they reply, "We only did this because competitors forced our hand." The responsibility dissolves, and those who ask the question are made to feel complicit. But the Stoics saw through this game. Epictetus reminded us, It is not what happens to you, but how you react that matters. The why is beyond your control. Their motives, their excuses, their twisted justifications, these belong to them, not to you. What belongs to you is your response. So instead of handing them power with, "Why would you do this to me?" pause, breathe, and turn the mirror back to them. Ask calmly, "What does this action say about you?" One sentence. Simple. Sharp. Because now the burden is not on you to understand their betrayal. The burden is on them to face it. The manipulator expects your tears, your confusion, your desperate search for answers. They do not expect your clarity. They do not expect your refusal to play the victim. And when you choose clarity over pleading, you reclaim your power. So remember, a Stoic never asks, "Why would you do this to me?" Because he already knows. The act itself reveals the truth of the person who did it. Thing 3. Please, just trust me. At first, these words sound gentle, almost desperate. Please, just trust me. But listen carefully. True trust is never begged for. True trust is earned, stone by stone, action by action. The moment someone has to plead for it, they've already revealed a weakness in their foundation. When you beg for trust, you hand over your dignity. You signal that their approval is more important than your clarity. And that is exactly what a manipulator wants: your dependence, your surrender, your blind faith. Think of relationships. A partner hides their phone, deletes their messages, and when questioned, whispers, "Don't you trust me?" But notice, it is not a request. It's a trap. Because if you say no, you look cold. And if you say yes, you silence your own instincts. Or look at business. A shady partner who avoids showing the books leans across the table. "Come on, just trust me." But the very fact that they must ask is proof that something is missing. The Stoics knew this truth well. Seneca wrote, "If it is not true, do not say it. If it is not right, do not do it." Integrity does not need performance. It does not need to beg. It simply exists day after day, unshaken. So what does the Stoic do instead of begging for trust? He pauses, he breathes, and he speaks with calm clarity. Trust is built by consistency, not by pleas. One line, steady, unyielding, and suddenly the power shifts. Because the manipulator thrives on your desperation. They expect you to scramble, to plead, to trade your dignity for their approval. But when you refuse, when you anchor yourself in reason instead of desperation, you expose their weakness, not yours. Remember this: the person who truly deserves trust will never demand it. They will never beg for it. They will show you, quietly, through their choices. So the next time you feel the urge to cry out, "Please, just trust me," stop, breathe, and know that trust is never won by begging. It is won by truth. Thing 4. I'll prove you wrong. It sounds powerful. It sounds bold. I'll prove you wrong. But look deeper. This phrase is not strength. It's surrender. Because the moment you declare it, you've already accepted their frame. You've agreed to fight on their battlefield, under their rules. Manipulators thrive on this. They push you into a corner, waiting for you to erupt. "I'll prove it. I'll show everyone." And while you burn your energy in rage, they sit back, smiling, because now you are dancing to their tune. Think about public scandals. A celebrity accused of wrongdoing shouts at the cameras, "I'll prove you all wrong." But instead of confidence, the world sees desperation. The louder they yell, the weaker they appear. History repeats this lesson. Leaders, CEOs, even athletes, those who scream, "I'll prove it," often collapse under the very pressure they created for themselves. Because proof is not built on noise. It is built on time, on evidence, on consistency. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it." If it is not true, do not say it. For the Stoic, there is no need to shout promises of proof. Truth defends itself. Integrity requires no performance. So what does the Stoic do instead? He resists the bait. He refuses to waste his strength, proving what reality already reveals. And with calm eyes, he replies, "The truth will prove itself." One sentence. Silent steel. The manipulator expects fire, but receives water. They expect a storm, but meet a mountain. And in that moment, their power dissolves. Because their entire strategy depended on your reaction, your need to win their game. When you refuse the game, they lose. Remember, every time you shout, "I'll prove you wrong," you hand them the script. But when you stay steady, when you trust reality to unveil itself, you take back the pen. The Stoic does not exhaust himself chasing shadows. He stands, he waits, and he lets the light of truth expose what words never could. Thing 5. I'll never forgive you. It sounds final. It sounds fierce. I'll never forgive you. And in the heat of betrayal, those words feel powerful. They feel like a sword slammed down on the table. But in truth, this phrase is not freedom. It is a chain. Because when you declare, "I'll never forgive you," you are not cutting ties. You are binding yourself to the very person you want to escape. Your anger becomes the rope that ties you to them. Your refusal to forgive becomes the prison that keeps them in your mind day after day. Think of history's great feuds. Business rivals who swore never to forgive, only to waste decades fighting shadows instead of building empires. Or personal stories, people who carried hatred for years, only to discover that the enemy had moved on long ago, while they themselves remained trapped in bitterness. Epictetus warned us, "He who angers you, conquers you." And Marcus Aurelius echoed the same truth. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. The Stoic understands this. He knows that clinging to rage is just another way of letting the manipulator win. Because while you burn with fury, they live rent-free in your mind. So what does the Stoic do instead? He does not shout, "I'll never forgive you." He does not waste his strength in eternal vows of hatred. Instead, he steps back. He breathes, and he says calmly, "I will not carry this weight with me. I choose to walk away." That is not weakness. That is not surrender. That is freedom. Because forgiveness in the Stoic sense is not about excusing the wrong. It is about refusing to let the wrong keep its grip on your soul. The manipulator wants your rage. They want you chained to them by your own fire. But when you choose detachment over fury, when you lay down the weight and walk forward, their power crumbles. Remember this. Vengeance is loud, but freedom is quiet. And the Stoic chooses freedom every time. Conclusion. The Stoic does not need to shout to prove himself. He does not beg. He does not blame. He does not cling to anger. He observes. He chooses. He responds with clarity. Remember this. Silence can be strength. Composure can be a weapon. And as Marcus Aurelius reminded us, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. In the comments, write just 3 words. I choose calm. And if this message resonates, join the journey, subscribe to The Stoic Habit. Not for me, but for yourself.